And it is the Fox signing on. And we are continuing our Civil War scenario series. But before the video starts, please like, subscribe, and we'll be covering a lot of different topics and factions in this Civil War scenario video. So please, go and click the link in the description at the bottom, at the end, or at the beginning of this video. If you haven't seen the first video, go click that right now, so you will be caught up with us. Okay. And we'll have a couple other videos coming out very soon, and we'll have a gun video coming out very soon, maybe tomorrow. And let's get on to it. And we have the good old trusty whiteboard out, my friend. Okay, so let's get on to it. So, if you want to see the first video with more details, the link is in the description down below. Let's do a short recap of all the factions. So, we've got the pension police, who took people's guns because they're funded by the local Democrats, otherwise pension police, they want their money. Second is the Libertarians, who did not want their guns taken, so they stood up against the police. Third is the Casuals, Casuals being the Republicans who gave up their guns to the police. They cannot survive. So, in a Civil War scenario like this, they're the first ones to be killed by everyone, no one likes them. Fourth is the white supremacists. They're not actually white supremacists, they're just white males with an identity, like anyone. And fourth on the list is Fed military, aka Trump's military. However, if anything happens, it can easily shift over from Trump's military to someone else's military. Okay, so let's do this here. Okay, so I got a big question from some of you guys in the comments. The question was, what's going to happen in New York, Boston, Hampshire, Los Angeles, all those cities? Well, the answer to you is straight death. Well, death in a month, apparently. What's going to happen is the local crime is going to skyrocket because S13 and a lot of other groups, the Crips and the Bloods, are basically going to hate each other and start out all-out riots. Most likely, the local police are going to be very overrun. There's a massive amount of crime. Okay, so since the giant overrun is going to happen, we have a major shutdown of basic necessities for a city to run. The biggest is sewage. Okay, sewage. Gross. But very important to a city. Now, millions of tons of shite go out of New York City every day to just giant payloads and then sold to farmers after being baked. Gross, I know, but very necessary. So, the cities will start shutting down mainly due to disease, and these giant tanks where the methane gas is basically kept is going to explode. So, basically, it's going to be a game of intrusion and wait. So basically, the police are going to sit on their asses and with armed guns and wait until the crime bosses or crime lords try to come out of the city, they get mowed down. And the massive number of factions spreading all over America means that they cannot survive outside the cities. So basically, you're just going to wait, and quite a few people are just going to die. You surround the city, and once everyone's dead in the city, you can try to reclaim it and kick back in with SWAT team forces or whatever faction was patrolling the area at the moment. So, for all you city people in there, not very good if a civil war happens to you. Okay, well, second thing to cover is what's going to happen within 2 months as far as aircraft, because aircraft is very important. The Nazis could have easily won World War II with much more aircraft. However, Hitler focused on ground tank invasion, which worked out good for the first couple years, but once it got into more developed forces, it did not work. So, aircraft. Now, if you listen to the code 8881, I believe, put it right here. Basically, this is just a code to see what would happen if a zombie apocalypse or a civil war would happen, second civil war. What would most likely happen is, basically, in this event, code 8881, aircraft would only be up for 2 to 3 months max. That is because the amount of fuel it would take to run these beasts is not there, and plus the military will be cut off from the desert, or well, the Middle East, because, well, the rest of the military is fighting in America, and in the Middle East is pretty much doomed, because then you have no troop transport, and the Iraqis will basically win the war there through attrition. So you are severely cut on supplies and supply lines, and there's going to be very little air support. The only very rare air support that you get is probably for information on other people. So this will greatly damage the U.S. So this is kind of going to be similar to Vietnam War style, asymmetrical, but with no Hueys, which is even more of a problem. So, okay, so we got asymmetrical warfare and what type of army stuff they're going to be using. Now, when the fighting gets tough, you see who's going to come out is the Bubba Army. Now, the Bubba Army, if they were deployed ever, effectively they would be the largest military as far as numbers go on Earth. There's 700 million members. Wait, not 700 million, but there's like, sorry about that, about 10 million members, which would make it a absolutely massive army, the Bubba Army. So the Bubba Army would just be 10 million, and then the U.S. Army would be 2 million, and, well, half of that would be cut off, so 1 million for the U.S. Army. And cops would be the main focus. So, basically, it would be pretty big, large fighting force to go up against. But problem lies in that is how organized it is. And I would like to say that they're not very organized because, well, there's been a long time since these guys have been in the army or military. And they're not very organized just because there's no rank chain of command what's constantly being upheld. It's just a force action group. So, we gotta go back to the Bubba Army in a second here, and they'll come into play at a huge role much later. Okay, so what's going to happen as far as military breakdown? Now, if something ever happens where Trump is put in a hard place and he has to kill American civilians, the military will slowly start to devolve into basically what happened in the Vietnam War. What happened in the Vietnam War is simply that military morale went down, and this is especially going to happen when you're fighting your own people. Imagine you shoot your neighbors that your family's been friends with for years. That's not going to go well on your psyche. So basically what's going to happen is slowly after an amount of time, people are going to start breaking down, especially the military. So what's going to happen is a paramilitary group is going to come out of the military, such as white identity, and it's very important to have an identity, especially white identity, because that identifies you into a group. Now, what's going to happen is most likely the white males in the military will slowly start breaking up into the Bubba Army or the Free Percenters. Basically, what that means, simplified version is, this is starting to freak me out, man. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to the Free Percenters or Bubba Army. Okay, so now that we got the military breaking down more and more, we all know that the military is probably not going to win. Just on the fact alone that they're going to break up slowly over time. But just not very good. Okay, so where does the other world come into play here? The whole wide world. Well, the world comes into play here with, you see, really just the UN. The UN is going to try to come in and deploy troops into America. Because, obviously, troops cannot, well, really handle shooting their own people. So the UN is trying to come here with unrelated soldiers from Europe and who have no ties and easily shoot American civilians if they're demonized well enough. Now, however, like I said, aircrafts are going to be shut down, and that includes nukes. Now, say the U.S. military gets overrun somehow, or some crazy stuff happens. You don't want nuclear weapons in the hands of just anyone. So, nuclear weapons will be disabled, basically allowing the event for nuclear catastrophism to be gone, basically. So what this means is Russia can mobilize its troops to the UN. So the UN will get a good straight out. So now the factions we have eliminated is crime factions from the cities, and the UN is going to be probably very much struggling against Russia. This means that Russia is going to play a heavy part into the American Civil War, just like it did in the First Civil War. So, basically, Russia is going to send over the Spetsnaz. If you don't know what the Spetsnaz is, you should probably go looking them up. They're basically, I don't know, let's say, Green Berets, drunk, and mad with power. Basically, they're pretty damn awesome. So, they'll come to the Bubble Army's aid and restore rank and order. That means is you'll have paramilitary groups turn into full-blown military groups. So we have the Bubble Army turning into a strict ranked system with health standards and everything like that. So we got everything there. We got, health, rank, everything like that. So that will all be wonderful. Okay. So what fighting are we going to see besides the asymmetrical warfare we're going to see within light? Now, the usual deploy will be MRAPs. I'll put the abbreviation for MRAPs up here. That basically just stands for lightly armored vehicle, but can basically stand light armed fire, and it can also stand basically shrapnel or getting blown up from underneath, basically mines or improvised explosives. Now, if you've seen the Vietnamese log trap, you obviously know that no armored vehicle is prepared for this beast of a trap. It is great for inflicting mass casualties and armored vehicles. Now, I don't care what it is, but this armored vehicle will be absolutely flipped on its side, and then we play the waiting game. Now, since it's flipped on its side, there's even two possibilities. Smoked out, starved out, and basically just shot. So, basically there's no way to win as soon as the vehicle gets flipped over and there's local people in your area who are against you, so you're basically dead in an MRAP. So, what's probably going to happen is the paramilitary groups are going to take those MRAPs in light or heavy armored vehicles for themselves during the Civil War. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, but real quick, we got some more to talk about, so let's not let it go. Yeah, I fooled you there. Let's go to the halftime show, shall we?
Hello there guys, I'd just like to say to you that these videos do take quite a bit of my time. Not like I got much better to do, but please, if you would just leave a like if you like the video, and share with your friends, leave a comment, subscribe, would be nice if you enjoyed the content I produce. I love suggestions because I get to modify my content in an appropriate way according to you guys. So yes, could you please, tell me what you like, what you think should be in the videos, what should be in the future videos, and that would be wonderful from all you guys. Thank you so much for making this happen. And if you're running a YouTube channel, just remember that no matter what, don't worry, you'll start getting nice people on your videos. So that's something to cheer up to. Good job.
Okay, so the show's just about to end, so let's do a recap so you got everything. In case I explained it a little too fast, I'm running on a little bit of time, but I've recorded this 4 different times, so you should probably take a little bit of appreciation. Okay, so what do we got? We got asymmetrical warfare with light or heavy armed tanks. Traps, obviously, are going to take those down. Basically, no aircraft. Russia playing a large part. Russia deploying the Spetsnaz. And UN falling to Russia. Criminal groups being annihilated by Bubble Army and other such things. More factions popping up. And we'll leave a list of factions right here for you to enjoy. You can read all these just up here, so you can make sure you know all the factions. And if you, just in case, I linked the factions in the description so you can read them all, and the plans for the Civil War if it ever breaks out in my brain. We'll have another episode on this, and for you gun nuts, we'll also have a gun video out very shortly. A bit of an odd one. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Desert Fox. Signing off.